welcome to our Trying Triangles. Of course, we have our lovely, awesome team.
Oh, hey,
Car
Camille, real
Yeah.
quick. I'm muting everybody. So if I accidentally mute you, you're gonna have to take
Ah,
yourself off.
yep,
There we go.
so Jacqueline just went ahead and put all of you guys on mute for the time being, just so that everyone can hear our lovely presenters today. Don't worry, when we have a Q&A session, you guys can unmute and ask us those questions, or this whole time you have the lovely chat box open. Feel free to go ahead and put what you need to in chat, and we have a few of us watching that to answer any questions you got. For those of you new to Quilter's Playground, we have an awesome team that helps with these calls. We have Carla, Jerry, Marie, Aubrey. I'm Camille. Jarek is our lovely salesperson on here today. And then we also have Jacqueline. Don't have her name on there, but we have Jacqueline here. All of you should know Jacqueline, though. She's been running this for a good while now. For our agenda today, we're going to give you a little intro, what we're doing, some recommendations to make this call really successful for everybody. We always do a little icebreaker, and then our lovely lesson today with Marie, and then we'll have a Q&A and show some awesome quilts that we've had. So with the playground, we have a new session. So we kind of wanted to go over what we offer in Quilter's Playground. So of course we have these lovely Zoom classes that we do every other week. And we talk about all sorts of different topics. Right now we're focusing on triangles. If you guys haven't gotten the hint yet with our trying triangles. We have a new session that we are super excited about called Need a Little Help. This will be on the opposite weeks of when we have Quilter's Playground on Tuesdays. And these sessions are really small, targeted specifically on specific items to get all those questions that people have. So we're starting with the Little Rebel and on just how to sew. We're going to look at tension. We're going to look at all those little things. And the next session will be how to do quilting without a frame on Little Rebel. And from there, we'll go into all sorts of different accessories, machines, get into the nitty-gritty of everything, and they're just Q&A sessions. So if you have any issues troubleshooting, want to learn more about the details of your machines or accessories, that is a great session to join. And then of course we have amazing on-site classes. We are booked up with our classes right now, but definitely keep an eye on our website for when we open more. We also have our lovely focus groups. Jacqueline, you run those groups. Did you want to say anything real quick about those?
Oh, the focus groups are a lot of fun. We just get together, we hang out, we talk quilting, we talk products, we just talk, life and being human. So if you are interested in just coming and joining this group and sharing your insights, feel free to join us. We do that every week.
Awesome. So while we're doing this, please, like I said before, just stay on mute while we're talking so that everyone can hear what we are sharing today. Use that chat box, go for it, say whatever you want to say in there, ask your questions, all the fun stuff. And then as always, take notes. Maybe you're going to have questions at the end for a Q&A. We'll start with Jarek. He's got our icebreaker and feelings today. Is Jarek on here? Maybe?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, perfect. There you are.
Hey, so yeah, I'm here to talk about a couple things here. So the main thing that I have written down here that I was asked to talk about is, what inspires us for quilting? And then also there's another one too, is, how do you feel when you give away one of your quilts, or you spend a lot of time working on something and then you give away, how's that kind of experience? And so for me, what inspires me, I don't really quilt myself, but I do like doing other sorts of art. And I am really inspired every time I go to like a quilt show. I just feel like there's so many beautiful projects there. And I'm like, oh, I never would have thought about that. It's like going to an art gallery. Like it really is. So if I'm ever like sometimes I'm like looking for a little bit of inspiration, I always end up taking pictures of quilts there. So share, like hop on and share kind of the same thing, the answer to those two questions. What inspires your quilting? I know I heard someone was talking about they made their own pattern. Sorry, I forgot what your name was, but you made your own pattern. Like, where did you get the inspiration for that? So go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, inspiration can come from anywhere, from many things. I was just barely designing a little octagon something. I was trying to make it fun. And then when I looked at it later, I went, oh, that kind of looks like hearts. So you never know. Just start playing with things and you can do something fun. Awesome. Okay, so we have a homework one. Jerry, did you want to go over the homework?
So the homework, Deborah Johansson sent in several blocks that she's been working on of Carla's pattern. So we wanted to share that, show you what she was able to accomplish. We love the colors. Jacqueline and I were talking about this, and we love how vibrant it is and how bright it is. And just keep sending in those homework, you guys. We love to share what you guys are doing for the homework that Carla gives out.
Yeah, I think this one on the bottom looks like Charlie Brown. I thought that was really fun. Alrighty, Marie, if you're ready, I'll swap this over to you. So Marie's going to present today about trying triangles.
All righty. Everyone can hear me okay? I'm going to go share my screen. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're not all too hot out there having bad weather. Ours is pretty decent. So I'm going to show you a little bit about triangles in simulation mode, and then I'm going to show you a video. So I'm going to start in select and sew. Can everyone see my big arrow? Okay, good, because sometimes I lose it, sometimes it's here. I'm going to go into triangles and choose a pattern. And then I'm going to change my placements. I'm down in the bottom in the middle. I'm going to choose my placement to triangle. We have the 60-degree triangle, which I am not showing today, but it's pretty much the same as this one. With the triangle, we have a placement. You can fit it or stretch it. And I always like to start at the top of the triangle and then place my triangle. And that's pretty much it with the triangle. Now I want to show you what we call point to point. It is in the 2-point placement. And I will be doing a lot of this in the video on my quilt. When you go into 2-point and you're in multi-point placement, it gives you at the bottom, on kind of on the left-hand side at the placement, it gives you a next button. What it does when you hit next, it places another pattern from your end point and creates the start point. I'll demonstrate it here in a second. Also, you need to either choose stretch or fit for these. The start point and the end point doesn't work very well. So I'm going to place my start point over here, and then I'm going to hit next, and it just adds that next pattern right on top of where your end point was, where your start point. And that's how you just continue to move on, and you can move that all over. When you use this, sometimes you need to size your pattern and get it the right size. So it does work because you only do have the 2 points. And your problem is your height, because you have your points to stretch it out, but it's your height. So if you have a pattern, let me reset this and go into 1-point placement, then down at the bottom we have size. So I have this, the height is at 6 inches. I'm going to go ahead and just change it to 5. And then I have my lock on down here, so it changed the width too. But I'm really concerned about my height. So I'm going to change it to 5, and then I'm going to save this pattern. Just going to put it right here, just real quick. And so now when I go back to the 2-point and do the point to point, now when I do my points, no matter, I'm going to do stretch. Wherever my second point is should keep this height. And I don't think it did on this one. There we go. Oh, the fit. And then when I hit next, it just keeps on going. So, oh, I didn't, I know why it didn't work. So I was wondering why, I'm gonna tell you my mistake here. I was wondering why my patterns weren't keeping the right height when I did it after I saved it. I forgot to go open my saved pattern. Very important. Once you save it and you think it's the same pattern, you need to go open the saved one. So now wherever I place my points, and I have stretch on, then I have my right height. So I save it at 5 inches high, and it doesn't matter where you are with your stretch. It'll keep it, it keeps it the same, but this one got a little higher because of my angle. Let me put my grid on. If I place it right and it's right on the grid, then it will give me my right height. So that's a good way to save your pattern to do your point to point. All right, I am going to get out of here and start my video. So this is the quilt that I quilted for this project. It's a UFO. We've been talking about UFOs and getting them quilted. I looked back at my pictures and I started this in 2018. These are all scraps from here at Grace with testing the product and stuff. So I used this all scraps on this. I was really mad at this quilt and put it in timeout. If you ever hear me say timeout, it's because I get mad at a quilt when I'm piecing it. Or I could, even this video, I put this video in timeout yesterday because I struggled with it, but I had to get it done and had to finish. But anyway, I put this quilt in timeout. I forgot why I put it in timeout. So I put my border on it and finished it up and then quilted it. And even when I was quilting this, I forgot why. And this video is when I realized where I messed up and I put it in timeout. So, you know, us quilters like to point out our bad. So I'm going to point out our bad. My third and fourth row blocks are all going the same direction. So that was my bad. I should have unpicked it and changed it up, but I didn't. But it happens to be the middle of the quilt and it actually turned out very nice. So sometimes your bads are turned out to be nice. Just keep on going with it. All right, so I'm going to start the video. I'm going to do 2 blocks in this video. I am going to, we're going to go into select and sew. When you set your safe area, make sure you go off your quilt top, but not off fabric. And then I'm going to go do the bottom left. Just make sure you're off your quilt top so you have plenty of room to move around and do what you want to do. I'm going to choose this. This is the block. Let me stop this real quick. So this is the block I'm going to be quilting. Sorry, I don't have it unquilted, but I'm doing the heck happened. Sorry. Let me go back. I guess it kept running. So in my block, I have a half square triangle, and then I have 2 sashing. I have a shorter sashing and a longer sashing. And then on my first block, come on, let's go. I'm going to do just the triangle method. On my quilt top, my blocks are not perfect. I quilted it a long time ago, and my points don't line up. They're not very good. So I used 2 methods doing this quilt, and it helped. So when you're bad piecing, the point to point works great when your piecing's great, and then the triangle worked good on my triangles that weren't so great. I always start at the top, the tip of my triangle, because your triangle you don't want to rotate or turn. you want to turn them while you're placing your triangle. And I'm using multi-pattern placement with this one. So I'm going to hit pattern down at the bottom right, and it's asking me if I'm going to do another one. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and then place. I don't have my video running on this. I filmed it on Friday the 13th, so I think that was my bad right there. Because it gave me lots of heck yesterday when I was trying to put it together. But anyway, I'm going to place my pattern. And then on this one, I'm just going to do the block. I'm not going to do the sashings right now, and you'll see why. So I went ahead and picked pattern. I said, no, do I want to place another one? And now I'm going to sew it. Oh, so what I'm going to do with this quilt is I have my machine on slow, 2 tie-offs. I like the micro stitch as my tie-off. And I unchecked posit trim line because I'm going to make my machine do small little moves. It's not going to do large moves. I'm taking my posit trim lines off to let my machine just move to the next pattern. All right. So then I'm going to, oh, here is, on every block, I'm going to go into the optimize to make sure that I can have the best, to move the best way. This pattern, the yellow, see where it has the yellow one? The yellow one is your segment. So it's going to sew the 1 first, and then it will go to 2. My placement was really good on this block. So my break is very small. It's at the top left. Right here is my break. It's really small. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that break. And then this particular one, it's going to be a continuous sew. And then I'll go ahead and hit OK. And the optimize was up here at the top of the toolbar. And then I'm not going to watch, you don't need to watch the stitching. We're not going to go through that. It takes too much film time. So I'm done quilting. Oh, it's doing the tie-up. Sorry, it's doing the pull bobbin. So I always like to use the program to start my pull bobbin. There's many other ways. You can do it manually. You can move to start point from your toolbox and then pull your bobbin thread up. It is important to do the bobbin thread. So I finished quilting that one. I reset. And now I'm going to do the sashings on this one. And I'm going to show you how I created my sashings. I'm going to go into pantograph, and then I am going to use the ruler on this. I'm just going to make a box to know what my sashing was. On this, I have 2 different sizes, one shorter than the other side. So I have one long and one short. And they both go different directions, vertical and longer. So I'm just going to measure my width here and length. On this one, actually, I think I did it on both one. I'm going to go ahead and just apply measurements and then add my pattern. The triangle pattern and this pattern is in the gold. So these are gold patterns. And then I'm going to, at the bottom, choose fit and fill. Go away. So it's a whole pattern. So it's not broken. I can't take my cursor down there with it. So now I have my pattern. I hit quilt as a single pattern, and I have my pattern, and now I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save, and I'm just going to name it my large sashing. I guess I didn't need to. Come on, type faster, Marie. Did I pause it? No. anyway. I don't know why it's so slow here. Just gonna speed this up. All right, sorry, I sped it up a little bit. So now I'm going to measure my next block. Now my next block, and I'm gonna hit apply on this. It's a vertical sashing, but when you go back into here, that was weird. Oh, here we go. You don't want it vertical here. You don't want to add your patterns. You can, some patterns you can add vertically and then rotate them, but some do weird things. And then once again, I'm going to do the fit and fill, so it's filling my whole area. I don't have any broken patterns on this. And then I will place as a single pattern. And now I'm going to save this one. And it's going to be my smaller sashing. And hopefully I type faster on this one. Come on. All right. And now I'm going to hit the X on the top left. I'm going to go back to the home page and I'm going to go into Pattern CAD. I am going to bring up one of my patterns because both my patterns I need in a vertical and horizontal way. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to rotate my pattern. What I'm doing is I'm preparing all of my patterns so I don't have to do this in the middle of the quilt, so they'll be all ready to go as I'm doing it. And then I'm going to save this one. And then it's just going to be my large sashing too. Then save it. And then I will bring in my other one and select all again, which is on the right hand side. My Teams is in the way. And then I just rotate it. And now I'll have all my patterns really ready to go for my different size sashings, whether vertical or long. And I rotate it, and then I'm going to save it. All right, sorry, could have sped that up. All right, now I'm going to go back into select and sew, and I'm going to choose my first sashing that is going to go around my block. And then I'm going to go ahead and place it. Sorry, my Teams keeps getting in my way at my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and place it. Using my, oh, I changed it to 4-point. I'm doing 4-point stretch for this sashing. Oh, why'd I go back into here? I'm not sure. It's like that was doubled up. Okay, sorry. So I've placed it, and then I'm going to hit, I did multi-pattern placement on this one, and I placed it, and I'm going to stitch it. I am going to go into optimize. It's at the top of the screen. Maybe. And then this is just a tiny little break, and I like the way it's sewing. It's going to do the first one, and then the last. So everything's good on that one. I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'm going to hit sew. And sew this out. Oh, I got to pull my bobbin. Moving to pull my bobbin. And then I'm not going to show the sewing part. Now it's finished. I'll go back to this screen. I'm going to hit the reset button to reset everything. It's down by the placement. Gosh, every time I bring my mouse down on my screen, it does that. Let's fast forward this. Okay, so I hit reset. I pulled up my, I'm going to leave my video alone. I'm going to take it off of 4-point placement. Sorry, gosh, every time I go down to my placement, my video thing pops up. So I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to go to 2-point. And this is going to be multi-pattern needs to be checked on the right-hand side. So I'm going to bring up the marking tool. And I'm going to start marking my block. Since I'm not doing the triangle method, 2-point, and now here's my machine. I am doing my marks because I want to see where this places. When you're placing it with the triangle placement, you know where it's going to go. This one is just the 2 points. So I always want to know where my points are going, especially the top of my triangle. So I'm adding the marking tool. For those of you that don't know the marking tool, this is the marking tool screen for select and sew. At the bottom, you move your machine and add points. Can't put my cursor down there. And it gives you a visual on your screen what's going on your quilt top. There's a lot of different uses for the marking tool. I could stitch this if I wanted to. For that. Also with the marking tool, so I'm placing my first placement and I haven't changed my method from start. So I got that message saying it's out of my placement. Just the pattern is, just keep placing your pattern. But once you get it honed in, then now it's in my place. And now I'm going to hit next. And you see when I hit next, the pattern is going to show up at the end of my first pattern at the start point. So at the end point. And then we'll place the next one. I clicked on stretch just to see what it would do, but fit. I didn't have to change my pattern for this project. The fit worked very well for me. Just using the marking tool. I did end up, because my piecing wasn't the greatest, I did end up using, when I did point to point, I used the marking tools on all of my blocks to see what, to make sure that my points and stuff were lining up as I liked it to. So now we're going to go move the machine back and start and move the points. And you can see the point is a little out. I shifted it just a tiny bit. This lined up very nicely. You can zoom in at the top of the top of the screen, we have the zoom. You can zoom in and see. I like how my marks, my pattern lined up with the marks. And if you can tell, I just shifted my placement just a little bit to get my mark a little bit better for that, even though I didn't move my machine. So now I'm going to tap pattern at the bottom right. Would you like to place it again? I'm going to say yes, but now I'm going to do my sashing. So I'm going to open pattern and I'm going to grab my sashing pattern. And then I'm going to change it to 4-point placement. And now I'm going to mark, I'm going to place my pattern. Oh, and those that you haven't seen this foot before that's on this machine, this is our new Super Glide that's coming out soon. Love this foot. Love how well you can see. It helps so much to lining up patterns. And if you have to use, so I'm going to say yes, because I'm going to add my vertical sashing in here and place it. But with this foot, if you do have to do a pattern repair or anything, you see it all. It's so nice. It's so nice. I know all of you guys are going to want one when it comes out. I'm going to go ahead and do my 4-point, doing the 4-point placement. It doesn't matter which order you do it. And then I'm going ahead and hit pattern again. This time I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to tap on quilt. Whenever you're doing multi-pattern placement, whenever you say no, make sure you go right to the quilt. Then you'll be ready to go. So I'm going to optimize at the top of the screen, the optimize button. I'm going to go into optimize. Now see how I have the long break in this block, in this sashing? I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this because I want to talk about this. So once again, our numbers are the segments that it's going to sew in. It'll sew the middle first, then it'll go to 2, and then it'll go to 3. Well, I changed the start and stop point on my 3rd section because I didn't want the break to go from clear up here to clear down here to sew. So all I did was tap on this right here where my blue dot is, and it changed it. So it changed this to, this blue is now my start and this is now my end. So I just have little breaks on here. So I don't have to tie off my threads or anything because it's just a small break and a small move, and I'll just clip those later. So now I'm ready to sew. And of course, pull my bobbin again. Carla loves me doing the pull bobbin. So yeah, that's, I believe, the end of my video.
Awesome. All right. We've had some really good questions for you, Marie. So I'll kind of pull some of these from chat. With a detailed design like you have on there, does the stitch per inch matter? Is it better to do a bigger stitch per inch or a smaller stitch per inch?
It totally depends on your design. I bounce from 10 anywhere from 10 to 12. And since my triangle pattern had a lot of points in it, I wanted it to hit the points really well. So that's why I upped it a little bit. When you
Okay.
have a pattern that has points, you might want to up your SPI a little bit so you get those sharp points, because that makes a difference, because you don't want that point cut off. So
Can I jump in for a second?
yeah, absolutely.
Talk
Yes.
about that.
Uh-huh.
some of the things that's the size of the design and the density as well. So if you're trying to do like a little micro stipple around an area, raise your SPI as well, because you want a more rounded look on them, and it's going to sew out better. So look at the size and really try to make the corners as you're going around them more smooth or more sharp, and you will get it if you raise it. Now, if it's a larger design, you might want to lengthen out the stitch just slightly and make it a little longer. Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
How do you know when the pattern needs to be adjusted? I think this is when you were kind of putting all of it together. And this is basically what you were seeing on your quilt, right? You're seeing it wasn't lining up quite right from the
Yeah.
screen to your quilt.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I noticed that my point at the top left wasn't matching quite up. So I just placed it and sometimes moving your machine just ever so slightly will make a difference in that.
And leaning on your pole, your belly bar pole, or your pole that holds the backing. If you
Yeah.
lean on that, you place your design, it will throw it off once you come back on it. Doesn't
I've done
happen
that.
so much on the new Evolution frame, but on all the other frames, there's a lot of play in it, so don't lean on it.
Yeah.
The super glide foot. We've had so many people asking about the super glide foot. For starters, do we have an idea of when we're releasing that?
Jacqueline, do you remember?
I think it was August.
I think August,
It's
yeah.
on its way. I know that much.
Oh,
So we're thinking August.
like
And then
it's really-
someone asked,
It could be here in July, but it might be August. It just depends on how long it takes.
it's on a
To
container.
clear customs usually is what hangs it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So they're coming. Awesome.
Mhm.
are they usable with a ruler? Is what somebody asked.
I would say
No,
no.
they are not.
Yeah.
That's another foot.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm working on it, you guys.
Carla's always working on something. Always working on it. Yeah. No, because when it goes up, that ruler could slide under the foot really easily.
Yeah.
And then
And-
Brenna asked, is there a particular reason you did not create a square block design with 2 triangle designs and then just place to the image at once?
Yes, I wanted the pattern to line up. How do I help me out here, Carla?
You wanted to
Wanted
line the points up, didn't you? Is that what?
Yeah, and I wanted it
so
to
that it was so continuous.
Yeah, and so it to fit like in the center of the point. If you do 4 point, if you do 4, I can easily go in and make that a block pattern, absolutely. But when you do that, in the center might not line up to the center of your triangles, if they're half square triangle, if that makes sense.
She wanted this triangle centered in the block.
Yeah.
When do you know, how do you know when to optimize your pattern versus when not to optimize?
I optimized this time because of I wanted to sew it a certain direction. I didn't want a really long break. And I wanted to uncheck the posit trim line. So I wanted it to just be small little moves. Sometimes there are breaks in the pattern that are necessary, and sometimes there are breaks in the pattern that are not necessary. And my first 2 triangles I did on my first block, I did remove the break because it was so close. Another thing I did on this quilt also is when I was placing I always place my point first and then the 2 sides. I did a couple of times I did needle holes, so I knew where to go back to when I was doing my second one. So it matched up really well when I did, I actually sometimes left the thread there to go do the next one. And then when I went back, I had my thread there to do that. So I did
Nice.
that a lot too.
Okay.
Let's see what time, we're good on time, aren't we? Are we good on time, Jacqueline? Or,
Yeah, you've got a few minutes.
Mhm.
for those, I did want to show this, and I'm gonna show it in Quilt CAD real quick, where, and I'm just gonna put it in this block, so it needs to be highlighted. I'm gonna go select it, and I like this triangle. I'm not gonna mess with that one because I changed the size. Where are my triangles? Why do I not see there? There you go. But this is a lot of fun too, because this can create your block also. I'm going to place it, and then I'm going to go to Tools in Pattern CAD. And in Tools, we have the triangle blocks. Well, I can add a diagonal, and now I have two. So here's my block. And then I can add the diagonal that way, and then I can crisscross it. And now my triangle, I have a whole new pattern to look at. So that's fun. I go into Quilt CAD and play with triangles like that all the time just to see what it creates. You can also, with this same pattern, earlier when I was doing, I'm going to go ahead and pick this triangle.
Marie, real quick,
Yeah.
while you're picking your triangles, do you know off the top of your head where the triangle is that you used earlier? I know you said it was in gold. Do you happen to just know which month and year that was in?
Ooh, I knew that question was going to happen. I knew that, and I wrote it down, because I wrote it down which month I pulled it out of, and now I'm not seeing my piece of paper that I wrote my notes on.
If you find your paper at any point before we close down tonight, drop it in the chat, because I know there's a lot of people who would like to know.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that. I knew when I picked that pattern, I was like, write it down, write what month you took it out of, because you will be asked. Whoever wants to know that answer, send me an email and I will find it. If I don't find it because I'm not finding it in my notes. And I'll find it.
Kathy is,
No.
yeah, Kathy is thinking it's March 2021. If
Oh,
that's
yeah.
different, let us know.
March 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go see. Oh, I don't have any gold patterns on here. Never mind. Let's not go see. Also, when I'm gonna let me get back on this, and if somebody wants to ask another question while I'm doing that, we can do that too. What I'm showing on here is a lot of fun, is just moving. I'm gonna turn this off because I don't want to see that message. And I always forget to do my fit down here. What's fun with here is also designing and creating. I can design and create a block just by doing this and just going around. Move my machine here.
And this is just in Stitch and Sew, and you're just doing,
Select and sew, yes.
yep.
Yep.
Select and Sew.
Yep. And then move. I mean, so I've done this with a bunch of patterns and just playing. So you can play with that too, with the 2-point placement with different triangle patterns. All right, next question.
Okay, Marie, I have a really basic question, but it's an important one. Can you explain a little bit what a tie-off is, why it's important, and where they go to set their tie-off settings?
The tie-offs, hang on, let me undo this. The tie-offs are to tie off your thread, so if you catch a thread, it doesn't unravel. And in settings at the top is your tie-off number, what you want it to do. And this will start at the first of the stitching and at the end of the stitching. It's just to help your thread to stay secure and not ravel.
You should
Carly,
be doing it while you're free motion quilting as well,
yeah.
because you won't want your threads to come undone.
You do it piecing too by your back stitch.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There's 2 places you can access it now. You can go to the home screen and set your settings in the help button. And there's a settings in there as well, where you can go and change all your, that was with one of the updates recently.
Yeah.
Can you
it-
show them where it's at, Marie?
Yeah. So I went from help, settings, and then quilt settings.
And you can also uncheck your posit trim lines there too.
Yes, I had mine uncheck. This one shows check in here, but I had mine unchecked when I was doing my quilt. The
So
posit.
can I say something about the posit trim lines?
You bet.
It's really good for short distances. If you have a trim line that's shorter, but if you're quilting like an edge to edge design and say you're eclipsing part of it out, you don't want it to have a long jump from one point to the next, because it's going to make little thread tangles underneath, and it's going to cause like the spider web effect, and you'll really have problems. So think about how you're using it, because it is a great little tool in there, but you don't, if it's a long jump, a really long jump, don't use
And,
it. It's not
and
worth
your machines, yeah, and your machines can catch that. It
Yeah.
can catch the and will rip out stitches.
it. Yep.
When your machine catches that and rips out, it's not fun when you see
No,
it over
it's
there
not.
going, oh, okay, yeah.
If you have a couple more questions, and then we probably need to get moving because we have some fun things to do tonight. But back on tie-offs, if they do a tie-off, do they still need to bury their thread? And also, if they're doing a tie-off, but the last stitch in the row is coming undone, can they increase the number of stitches in that tie-off so it'll make a better knot at the end?
Yeah.
It goes from 0 to 5. You can change that to 0 to 5.
But any more than 3, you guys, it starts to be a bigger layer, and it doesn't look as good.
Yeah, especially if you do the back and forth. We do the I like to do the micro tie-offs where it does tiny little stitches and then take off, and the back and forth where it actually goes back and forth and does the tie-offs.
And for keeping the threads long and burying them, okay, if you're entering it into a show, a quilt show, yes, I would do it. But for a quilt that is going to be washed and handled a lot, I wouldn't bother. I would just cut my threads off at the very end where the knot is and call it good. So that's up to you. That's your personal preference.
Yeah, I think it's personal preference too. It's too tedious for me. And my quilt's not going to go in a quilt show, so I hope they're being used and washed and used and washed. So.
And of course, we've mentioned on here a couple times, we do have this on YouTube. So please give us the likes, the shares, all the good things to help us grow. And of course, comment with more questions. If we missed anything, we love to see what you guys are thinking of when you're watching this a second time through.